Hello, friends. So just a quick introduction to Kubernetes. So in this video, I basically want to provision a Kubernetes cluster, right? And let me just click on that. So search for GKE, Google, Google Kubernetes Engine, right? So now if you look to the right, you will see create a cluster and deploy a workload. This is just like this is just if you are just learning this for the very first time, you will see the step by step. It's just going to give you step by step on how you can do that. So so you can, to create a cluster. But before we even deploy this or create anything, what is Kubernetes? So Kubernetes is an open source platform for automating deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. So take note of that, containerized applications. For example, applications that are already Dockerized, right? So, and another fun thing about Kubernetes is that Kubernetes was actually developed by Google. And I just want to explain some terminologies in Kubernetes: cluster, pods, node pods, and what is called a control plan. So think of the cluster as the entire Kubernetes environment, right? Which is made up of multiple nodes and what is called a control plan. The control plan is like it's also like called the master node, right? So the cluster, just think of clusters, because cluster is made up of nodes and control plan, right? Now, nodes are physical or virtual machines where the pods are being deployed, right? They are, so when we provision a cluster, automatically, some nodes will be provisioned, like virtual machines. You will see them, we are going to do it. And then lastly, the pods, just think of the pods as the containerized applications, right? The applications that are already put inside the container. So the pods are the smallest deployable units, right? When running your cluster, when running you know, and they run inside nodes. And lastly, when you are, you know, uh, deploying a Kubernetes cluster, this is very, very common. The kubectl command, you will see it flowing everywhere. So let's quickly go back to um, let's go back to our console and let's quickly deploy a cluster. So let's create one. So create, and then we can just put the name. So this one is giving me the suggestion for autopilot. So autopilot, I don't want that. So I'm going to switch here, switch to standard cluster. So that way I'll be able to really see some of these things that we talked about, like, the node and, so switch to standard cluster. And so once I switch, I can change the name to maybe um, just something, just put a name there, you know, and the region, I'm going to leave it the way it is, one can just follow this um, guide here, right? So it says create a Kubernetes cluster, and all that. So I'm just going to follow, I'm just going to leave all these configuration the way they are. And let me see. So I'll click on this default pool. So you see the node, right? See the node. Now you see that um, three nodes, right? Three nodes will be provisioned, right? Three nodes will be provisioned, total in all zone. So total, this nine is nine virtual machines will be provisioned, right? Nine virtual machines will be provisioned. But let me just reduce it to two. Let me just reduce it to two. Then another thing I want to do is that I want to reduce the size. So let me see. Let me reduce the gig. Click on this. Okay. So I'm going to choose, instead of E2 medium, I'm going to choose E2 micro, just something that is small. And then for this boot disk size, I'm going to choose just 10. I think 10 is the minimum. And I'm going to leave every other thing the way they are. And I'm just going to click on create. So let's click on create, submitting. And this might take a while. So this might take a while. So cluster 2 is being provisioned. So I'm just going to pause the video. And when it's done, I'll be back. So as we can see, the provisioning has been done, right? See the status is green. So let me click on that. And you can see different information here, right? So these 6, remember we choose 2 nodes, right? So that means, and for each node, it comes with like 3 virtual machines. So that's why we have 6. 3 times 2, 6. So we have all this information here, right? So now let's just go to compute engine to check for the virtual machines. So I'm going to come back here to compute engine, and yeah, so that's it. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See that these are the virtual machines that we are provisioned. So these ones, they're the ones that I have there previously. So these are the ones that are, you see GKE cluster, GKE cluster, GKE cluster. So that's just it about Kubernetes. And of course, you can, deploy an application, you can deploy an application to it. So, but that's just the basic idea of provisioning a cluster in Google Kubernetes engine. Thank you.